Is everything okay? Are you all right?
That's a good question. Now it's kind of like, is this guy just like a one-trick pony? Could he do this again? A lot of people just label this as, sick, disgusting, depraved.
Which it is.
It is. No one's going to give me the opportunity to remake Psycho, but if they did, I would show everything that knife could possibly do to the human body. There's definitely lines, things that I won't show. It's really tricky, especially the more children, the trickier it is. The brawl scene. Oof, that was tough. As I was writing it, I knew where I was going to end the saga. For me personally, it's not going to be more than, there's a lot of kill scenes I'm proud of. I think I'm still maybe the most proud of.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure's mine, man. Good to see you.
So I saw the film a few days ago, and I've got to ask, is everything okay? Are you all right?
That's a good question. Nah, everything's great.
How does it feel to finally have the film come out after what I imagine is a lot of work? Do you feel the pressure at number three because there's expectation and an established fan base?
Absolutely. Yeah. Every movie, there's added pressure, especially topping the kill scene from the previous film. This one in particular is more pressure because there was a lot more money involved, and fan base is bigger than ever. So there's more eyes on it and more expectations. So it's sort of like, part one niche, part two kind of reached a broader audience. But it's kind of like, is this guy just like a one-trick pony? Could he do this again? Is this going to live up to part two? So there's a lot more pressure going into this one.
I can only imagine. So what's with the change to the Christmas setting? I imagine some of the religious iconography and imagery had something to do with that, or was it mostly just it seems like a refreshing kind of point to chuck Art the Clown into?
It's more so the refreshing,
Yeah.
a refreshing take, a new tone, a new atmosphere, a new flavor, so to speak. It was just perfect for the religious iconography that it was going to be Christmas, because of course, I mean, there's so much already in part two, and this one was just going to follow the lore. So it was a perfect opportunity to get a little sacrilegious because it's such a holy holiday. And now you're throwing Art the Clown into the mix. It's joyous, it's family, it's everything is the complete opposite of what Art the Clown is. So to throw him into this holiday now was so perfect. And I thought that it would be a great opportunity to pull levity out of a lot of these Christmas tropes and a lot of these scenarios. For instance, what would it be like if Art the Clown was suddenly a mall Santa Claus surrounded by a bunch of children? How would Art react to meeting who he thinks is the real Santa Claus? I just knew that that would be hysterical, and it's important for these movies that we inject the levity into them now. It's part of I feel like it's part of the secret sauce as to why these movies work or why people like them. It almost gives Art the Clown an opportunity to remind the audience that they're watching a movie, and instead of really just getting lost in the darkness of the depravity and the violence. If you didn't have that levity, I don't think these movies would work. I don't think the audience would gravitate toward them as much. So I think that allows us to get a little more graphic and excessive with the violence, because there's a nice balance that we strike. Just when you think we're going too far, I'm gonna win you back with Art the Clown with some sort of chuckle if I can.
The comedy element, I think, makes everything in a weird way kind of more palatable. I feel as though if this was completely serious and dry and heavy-handed with the drama, it would be more kind of gore porn without any kind of entertainment value.
I completely agree. I think you'd be desensitized much quicker. I think the audience would be numb. And it wouldn't be a fun time. I mean, I think it's surprising how much fun you could have. I tell people, because on the surface, a lot of people just label this as, sick, disgusting, depraved.
Which it is.
It is. It certainly is. I don't think that's the only thing these movies have going for them. They just happen to be at the surface level what really stands out. But you could be walking by a theater showing Terrifier 3, not knowing what's playing at any given moment, and hear the audience hysterically laughing. And now, that's something I don't think it really gets credit for. I mean, that's not the easiest thing to pull off either. Comedy is really tricky to pull off. So it's a nice balance, and I think overall it makes it a fun experience and not just a really bleak one.
When it comes to the the actual controversy, outrage factor of the film. What's your relationship between that and the marketing slash buzzworthy of it all? Do you see it as, you know, these reports of puking and walkouts as validation, as kind of a an interesting marketing approach? What's your relationship with that?
Well, I take it as a badge of honor when I hear about it, and I really hate fake hype or having to push things because I know all this stuff, especially with part two, was organic when it started. But now we can't really help but to ride that train. It would, you know, we have to, if we, especially me, if I see it happening, I'm pumping it out there on my social media. I mean, I'm just riding that wave because again, it is what we've sort of become known for. It's the gimmick surrounding us. But there is extreme validation as a makeup effects artist. Because I had done the makeup effects for the first two movies. This movie, I hired another team. I hired Christian Tinsley's studio to come in and do it for me so I could focus on other aspects of, you know, directing. So it's just ultimate validation of their work and the ingenuity that goes into executing a lot of these effects, and the editing of these effects and the sound design, all that coming together. You have really, really talented people that it takes, you know, months and months of their life to create these things. So it's exciting.
What's your approach when it comes to actually crafting and coming up with these particular kills? Uh, do they all come from up here, or are you collaborating with friends and fellow industry people on what you can actually create?
No, it's all me, but it depends. It all comes from very different places. It could be an homage to a kill scene that I admire from a movie, or no, admire might not be the right word, one that's affected me in a movie. Like, for instance, the shower massacre that people are talking about in Terrifier 3 is a blatant homage to Psycho. And the way something like that happens is on one level, it's just curiosity. Like, what would Alfred Hitchcock create the same scene if he did that today, or would it be more graphic? Would it be as subdued as it was back then because he had to abide by the limitations of the time? I think he'd probably be a little more bold with the. I'm not saying it would be a better kill scene. I mean, that is the ultimate perfect kill scene. But today, I mean, I wanted to take my shot at it. I said, what if, first of all, no one's going to give me the opportunity to remake Psycho, but if they did, I would show everything that knife could possibly do to the human body. So I just said, I want to put my spin on it. I want to give it a try. And also, I've been holding back giving Art the Clown a chainsaw for two movies out of respect to Leatherface. That's a sacred weapon. It's such a signature weapon. But I felt like we had to sort of prove ourselves for a little bit first and see if we were worthy enough to use the chainsaw. Because for years, I'm watching chainsaw movies, not just Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but saying I would make a chainsaw kill scene 10 times worse, right, if I was given the opportunity. So now it was my opportunity to give Art a chainsaw, show you what I could do with a chainsaw, and mix it with Psycho.
Yeah, I think you definitely earned the chainsaw upgrade. When it comes to actually the line of, how do I phrase it? Is there a line for you where you think, okay, maybe that's a bit much, or you just like, let's just go for it. Let's just go as hard out as we can when it comes to gore and sensitivity.
There's definitely lines, things that I won't show, and there's also, I don't know if there's taboo subjects that I won't tackle. I haven't really gotten there yet, but like so far, everything I've thought of doing, I've done it. But then once I decide to do it, it's a matter of how tasteful can I be in terms of the execution. So that was something I was conscious of a lot of times during this movie. But for instance, I won't give any spoilers, mild spoilers here. There's a scene at the end involving rats and a tube. And that was something that I actually was in the book American Psycho. But it's done way worse and it's done way more sexually graphic. And the way it's done in the book is something I would never do in a movie, or I would never show the way it's explained or described in the book. So to me, like, that's a limitation because I have a fear of really alienating the audience. On one level, I love pushing the boundaries. I think it's exciting. I think horror fans want to be pushed and tested and see how far they're willing to go. So we try and just step over that line ever so gently. But then at the same time, I want to retain mass appeal, so to speak, of Art the Clown. I think he deserves that. I think any casual horror fan should be able to appreciate this character the way they appreciate Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger. And if we go way too far in a distasteful manner with the gore, then he's not going to get that opportunity. I think we're going to be just labeled as this really reprehensible gore flick, and I think there's a lot more. So it's hard because on one level we're known for pushing the boundaries and we're expected to push the boundaries of gore. So it's a tricky balance.
There's a bit more of a focus on having children involved in this chapter. How was that on set? I was just imagining the amount of, you're trying to compartmentalize what the child is seeing, and then you've got like maybe their parents over your shoulder going, "Is everything okay?" And you're like, "It's fine." How was it on set dealing with all these children? I mean, there's the mall scene, there's the young actress, there's the opening with the family. There's a few moments where I'm like, how did you film this?
Yeah, it's really tricky, especially the more children, the trickier it is. The brawl scene, because children, as intelligent as they are and whatever, I mean, they get restless very quickly, and especially like just a giant group of children could get really difficult to handle and organize. I had an amazing stunt coordinator who was able to sort of wrangle them, for lack of a better word, and keep them sort of focused and under control for me, which was beautiful because it was hard for me. I'm good with focusing on like one child in a scene, but oof, that was tough. So it depends. Like, it depends on what the scene is, what's the subject matter. I try to shield the kids away from Art the Clown as much as possible if I can. Like if they don't need to be in the same shot, I won't have Art the Clown. I'll have a stand-in there for Art, like if they're looking at him in another shot or something. We only send them what they need to know. So if there's something really despicable happening in the scene that they don't need to know what's going on, we won't show them that. Of course, their parents know what the movie is. They have to be a full disclosure what everything's about. But it's usually amazing. Usually you'd be surprised. The kids come to set and they're excited to meet David. They want to see the clown. All those kids in the mall kept coming up to me. "Where's the clown? When's the clown coming out? I want to meet the clown." And even if they are, sometimes a child will come to set and it will be a little scared of the clown, will be afraid of David. At first, just the idea of him scares them. And then David is so good with children and so disarming. And if you meet David in real life, it's like meeting Roger Rabbit. I mean, he's a voice actor. He's a cartoon character. So he wins them over instantly where he's playing games with them and they become best friends on set. So it's actually really fun. It's been cool to work with the kids. It's really interesting.
In regards to filming these kind of some of these more horrific scenes on set with these actors, is there like a levity on set, or is it kind of, because I know some sets like to have the tone be similar to the film so that everyone can be in the right mood. But I was thinking some of these are so extreme, you may not want to be in the mood of the scene.
That's a great question. I mean, we're bad. We're like jokesters. So sometimes we get out of control, like where we should be more serious. So we're always cracking jokes. The levity on set, it's all very light. You would never know we're making a Terrifier movie. Everything's fun, and especially we constantly keep hiring the same people, the same crew if we can. So we're like a family at this point. So everybody knows everybody's personality and dynamics and stuff. But for instance, in Terrifier 3, the climax of the movie is very dark and very intense. And Lauren Lavera, had to be in a really intense, dramatic mindset for a lot of that. So you don't want to be joking there. Not because she's gonna, have a bad attitude or anything like that, but out of respect for her, you don't want to be joking in between this. She has to be there. She has to be in that headspace. And so shooting the end of the movie was intense, and wasn't a lot of joking and stuff going on. So that was like a difficult week. That was sort of bringing everybody down. But it was important. This is like a very dark chapter of this saga, and it was a very intense place, and an intense mindset for Lauren to be in for however long, maybe a week worth of shooting that scene. So depends. It really all depends on the situation.
I know that you've already got four in the works. Do you have a kind of an outline ready for a run of films, or is it kind of like see as we go? Or
It's a little see as we go, because when I wrote part two, as I was writing it, I knew where I was going to end the saga. Um, so now it's just a matter of, I have lists of scenarios I want to put Art the Clown in that have nothing to do with the movie. Like I just think separate the actual story. They're just I would love to see him in this situation, interact with this person in this environment. Or I have a list of kill scenes that I would really love to see him, be a part of. So it's just a matter of how many of those can I use while also following the story, getting to that end zone. And for me personally, it's not going to be more than two more movies. So one or two more movies, and then I don't think I have much to say with this Art the Clown Sienna saga. I mean, that doesn't mean that there can't be more movies down the line. I'm sure that this will go on for quite some time, even if I'm not making them. This is a character that definitely has legs. So, but we'll see. I just want to be able to have the Damien Leone saga where it has a beginning, middle, and ending. You know what it is. You can walk away satisfied and say that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool franchise. So that's where my head's
Yeah.
at now.
Great, great. And just lastly, do you have a favorite kill of yours among the three films? And do you have a favorite kill in cinema? I know you've mentioned Psycho, but maybe another one.
There's a lot of kill scenes I'm proud of. I think I'm still maybe the most proud of the bedroom kill from Terrifier 2. That was the first time that the hype was so big where people really wanted us to surpass the last kill. So the pressure was there to deliver something cool. And it was just me and my producer, Phil Falcone, who did all the special effects. It was just very old school, like guerrilla filmmaking. And we built all that stuff during lockdown in his basement during COVID. And it came out well. Like we got a good response out of the audience. And I think it's one of the reasons why part two was so successful and talked about was that scene. So I'm proud of that one. Kill scene from a movie. Man, there's so many. There's so many. I really love zombie movies and I love Tom Savini. So I love the kills in Day of the Dead. I love the main bad guy getting torn in half and still being alive as you see his legs getting taken from his body. I mean, that's a good one. I love one of my favorite scenes of someone getting devoured is the end of Jaws, is Quint getting eaten by the shark because that's my favorite movie of all time. So I'm gonna go with those right now off the top of my head.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, and looking forward to seeing how this travels among the people. And all the best for the future.
Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it.